Good afternoon or good morning, and again, welcome and thank you for joining us for the FY 23 and 24 Development Programs Information Session. My name is Jesse McIntyre, and I will be your technical producer for today's event. If you have any issues or run into any trouble, please utilize the chat feature in Teams and contact me directly. Now, before we begin, I do have a few housekeeping items I would like to go over for you. Please note that today's event is being recorded and closed captioning is available. Your microphone is also muted by default when you logged in, and however, you are encouraged to type in comments and questions into the chat and utilize the raise hand feature during the Q&A session portion of the session at the end if you would like to come off mute and ask a question. As I said, live captioning is enabled in Teams. You can click the More Actions button, which is the 3 dots between the microphone and leave buttons. Click on Language and Speech, select Turn on Live Captions, English, and click on Confirm. Finally, your feedback is very important to us. At the conclusion of today's event, a QR code and a link to a brief survey will appear. Please note the QR code will only work with a government-issued device, and we would love to really hear what you think so that we can continue to improve and update our services. Now, at this time, I would like to introduce our host and facilitator, Ms. Ceslee Horner, the Chief of Leadership Development Directorate. Ms. Horner, the floor is now yours.
Thank you, Jesse. Good afternoon. I am so excited that you all have joined us here at VBA, Office of Human Capital Services, to participate in our Leadership Development Programs information session. As Jesse mentioned, my name is Ceslee Horner, and I am the Chief of the Leadership Development Directorate at HCS. Our entire team has been working very hard to prepare for our next cohort of programs, and we are so thrilled to spend some time with you today. Now, I would like to bring attention to the agenda for today's program. During our time together today, we will discuss each individual leadership program, LEAD, LEAP, and ADDP. We will cover program staff, eligibility for the different programs, provide an overview of the program objectives and methodology, and review the application process and timeline. Lastly, we will provide you with the opportunity to ask questions, and we will leave you with our contact information. VBA is committed to developing 21st century leaders to meet the needs of 21st century veterans and to also meet the changing needs of the future of work within federal government. In alignment with the department's core leadership competencies, our leadership program seeks to enrich the participants' knowledge by engaging them in critical thought, independent and group learning activities, as well as other ongoing assignments. HCS and VBA place high regard on leadership development because it is essential for effective governance, adaptability, succession planning, and employee engagement. Our programs help build a strong and capable leadership cadre that can navigate the complexities of VBA and serve our veterans effectively. Let's get started with our core programs, leading off with LEAD. Let me introduce you to our LEAD program managers. Mr. Jonathan Stutes and Ms. Moira Shaughnessy are both learning management officers with the Leadership Development Directorate of HCS. The role of the program manager is to keep the program running smoothly. The PMs will check in regularly with participants on their progress towards various program milestones. I will now pass the presentation on to Ms. Shaughnessy to discuss the LEAD program.
Thank you, Ceslee, and hello, everyone. I'm so glad you could join us today, and it's my pleasure to talk about the Leadership Enhancement and Development Program, or LEAD as we call it, and we'll begin by talking about the eligibility. So to apply to LEAD, you must be a GS 10 through 12 by the application deadline. So that is August 4th. So GS 10 through 12 by August 4th. You have to have been employed at VBA for at least 1 year from the application period start date, which is July 18th, 2023. You need to have received fully successful in your last 2 performance evaluations, and you have to meet all of the program requirements, and that includes some travel. Participating in VIP or some other leadership development program, unfortunately, to participate in LEAD, you cannot be in any other leadership development program, and you have to be able to commit 4 hours per week of work outside, 4 hours a week per work, with only 2 hours of exclusionary time if you're in the field. Selection into and successful completion of LEAD does not guarantee advancement into a particular position in VBA. So it doesn't guarantee that you will get your next job, but it does look very good on your application, I will say. So now I'll go into a LEAD program overview. So LEAD is 7 months long. It's a national level leadership development program, and its purpose is to prepare participants to become a supervisor in 1 to 2 years, or if you're already an assistant coach or already a supervisor, to strengthen your supervisory skills. Participants will work on the following leadership competencies. In LEAD, we study political savvy, partnering, problem solving, accountability, influence, and resilience. These competencies are part of the leadership development framework. You can find this framework on our SharePoint site. I know it's hard to read on this slide. If you want more information on the framework, all of our programs, the content, the materials that we use in our programs are based on this leadership development framework. In terms of the program structure, the methodology, we have interactive learning activities and exercises during 3 residential weeks. We have Foundations Week, Assessment Week, and Executive Week, and travel is required during those weeks. Mentoring, we have 1 hour a week of mentoring in LEAD, and that is a requirement. Everyone in LEAD takes the DISC assessment. Everyone in LEAD fills out an individual development plan, or IDP. We study a foundational text entitled the Leadership Challenge. In LEAD, there's a 2-day shadowing assignment, and that is a local assignment where you shadow 1 or more individuals from your home office. There are several virtual training sessions throughout LEAD, typically twice a month. And there is a team capstone project during Executive Week. And that project is really the heart of LEAD. And during that project, you learn to apply all of the principles that we study during formal classroom training. Mentoring is a requirement of LEAD. It's one of the great benefits. All LEAD participants are required to participate in 4 hours per month of mentoring. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with mentoring, during the mentoring relationship, your mentor will challenge you. They'll offer feedback. They'll help with networking, offer support. They'll share their experience with you. In terms of time investment, you can anticipate 4 to 5 hours per week for LEAD. And as I said before, 2 of those hours will be exclusionary time if you're on production, but do expect to spend about 4 to 5 hours a week on LEAD assignments. During these 4 to 5 hours, you'll be in virtual weekly trainings, you'll be meeting with your mentor, there'll be some self-study, you'll meet with one of your program managers, you'll have team meetings, and the capstone project is something that you'll work on for the whole of the program. So the residential sessions, the 3 weeks I spoke of, these are the tentative dates for these weeks right now. So Foundations Week, that week of October 16th through the 20th, the Assessment Week, January 29th through February 2nd, an Executive Week or the Graduation Week. Currently, we have scheduled for February 26th through March 1st. And I know with everyone's busy schedules, sometimes it's hard to be free during residential sessions, but again, I have to say this is a requirement. So if you want to graduate from LEAD, you will need to attend these sessions. Is LEAD for me? So I can tell you I've been running LEAD for a few years now. And what I have noticed about very successful participants is that they do have the following characteristics. They are curious about leadership. It's okay to join LEAD if you're not completely sure you want to be a supervisor. When I would definitely recommend LEAD. Desire to work with people. Leadership is a people game. Yes, cutting out. Okay. This is my last slide. So you have to have a desire to work with people. You have to have a commitment to personal growth, a capacity to manage a dynamic workload and multiple responsibilities, a commitment to excellence. Flexibility is absolutely essential for all of our leadership development programs, and perseverance to overcome obstacles. This is a 7-month-long, very challenging, very rewarding program. So resilience and those willing to overcome those obstacles, absolutely essential to participating in LEAD. I know you may have questions, and we will have some time at the end of this presentation for some questions, but I also wanted to share the contact information for myself and Mr. Jonathan Stoops. Here are the email addresses. Please do feel free to send us questions.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Shaughnessy, for that in-depth overview of LEAD. As a previous LEAD graduate myself, I have a very soft spot in my heart for that program, and I'm very excited to see what type of people that we get into our cohort this year. As mentioned, please feel free to reach out to Ms. Shaughnessy or Mr. Stoops directly. If you have any additional questions, also feel free to utilize our chat as well, and we will answer questions as they come up. Next, we will discuss the LEAP program. All right, so let me introduce you to our LEAP program managers. Ms. Simone Conforto and Ms. Nafisat Abdullahi are also learning management officers with the Leadership Development Directorate. As discussed with our lead PMs, they will check in regularly with participants on their progress towards various program milestones. Ms. Conforto, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Horner, and good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. Let's get started at looking at the eligibility criteria for LEAP. So first and foremost, in order to be eligible for LEAP, you will need to be at least a GS 13 or 14, again, during the application period, so July 18th to August 4th. Again, you have to have been employed by VBA for at least 1 year as of the application period start date, so as of July 18th. We also need to see that you've received at least a fully successful evaluation on your last 2 performance evaluations, so your FY21 and FY22 performance evals. And then last but certainly not least, we do need you to be able to commit to a 30-day detail. So much like with LEAD, we're now going to take a look at the LEAP program itself. So LEAP is really designed to identify and enrich a really diverse cadre of high-performing first and second line supervisors, as well as our VBA central office senior level staff from all business lines, support services, and staff offices. So LEAP is structured around OPM's executive core qualifications. So not only are we preparing you for division level management, but we begin growing your capabilities towards other VBA senior leadership positions, should you eventually choose that route. So again, here we're showing you our leadership development framework, which again is a VA-wide framework to help employees in identifying their leadership opportunities at any stage of their career. So definitely really helpful and highly recommend looking into this. So let's take a closer look at the areas that LEAP is focused on. So again, in addition to the structures around the executive core qualifications, LEAP focus really does focus on the competencies shown in the first line supervisor and our manager level for the development framework. But how exactly do we really focus our developmental efforts in these areas? As you can see on the slide here, LEAP does require participants to complete a number of developmental activities. And as you can see, it's going to include your 360-degree assessment. You're also going to have a mentor, just like we heard about in LEAD. You'll also complete your individual development plan. Your 30-day developmental detail, that's a really big one, right? So we need you to be available for that. That will require some travel. HCS does not cover that, but your hosting station will cover that. You, as the participant, are also responsible for securing that detail. So we can talk about that if you have any further questions or concerns on that. You'll also have a 2-week local shadowing assignment. So a little bit of a step up. You'll also be doing that 2 weeks locally. You'll have the opportunity to interview some executives. So you'll have some time to prepare some questions and sit down with some of our senior executives and have that time to ask them those questions. Just like with LEAD, there will be a leadership book that you will be reading and discussing with your cohort. And a lot of those discussions are going to happen in your monthly intersessions. So you will also have your 3 residential weeks, but in between your residency weeks, you will be attending some virtual meetings with your cohort to discuss some of our assignments and texts that you'll be reading. And then last but certainly not least, you will also have a capstone project at the end during executive week where you will be giving an executive level briefing. So as I mentioned, there are 3 residency sessions that are required for program completion. So just like Mara said with LEAD, the same goes for LEAP. You are required to attend your 3 residency sessions. So as you can see on the slide, we do currently have our tentative dates. Foundations Week is November 13th to 17th. Assessment Week is January 22nd to 26th. And then Executive Week or Graduation Week is March 4th to March 8th. So these weeks are really, really important because they serve as a learning and networking opportunity for you. And you're going to have the chance to get to know your fellow cohort members, get to know your executive sponsors, the program managers, and any other guest speakers that are available during that time. So it really is a fantastic opportunity. And, you know, just like Mara said, we don't like to change dates and locations, but, you know, sometimes there may be some adjustments along the way. So your flexibility is always appreciated. So what if you're on the fence about applying to LEAP? So let's look at some of the characteristics of our strong LEAP participants. So if you are someone who is passionate about leading people, leading VBA programs, if you are interested in continual learning and you have that growth mindset, if you're someone who can not only manage but thrive on the challenges that come with your positions of increasing responsibility, and someone who really wants to build relationships, learn from others, share their knowledge and experience with other like-minded leaders. These are really, really important and some strong characteristics that that will kind of give you an idea that this might be a good fit for you. So again, I'm sure you have a ton of questions, and I'm going to check the chat once I wrap up, but please do feel free to reach out to myself or Ms. Abdullah. We will be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have about LEAP. Thanks.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Ms. Conforto. Again, feel free to reach out directly if you have any additional questions on LEAP. And as Ms. Conforto mentioned, she'll be monitoring the chat and answering any questions that she can there as well. Next, let's review ADDP. I will introduce you to our program managers. ADDP's program managers are Ms. Elizabeth Prevatt, Learning Management Officer, and myself. We are both with LDD as well. So I will hand this over to Ms. Prevatt. You have the stage.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Horner, and thank you everybody for your time today. Very glad to be with you. So let's first talk about eligibility for the ADDP program. ADDP is for those at the GS 14 and 15 levels. If you are a field applicant, we're looking for individuals who have experience as a second-line supervisor or a division manager. If you are a central office applicant, you have to have supervisory experience. All applicants need to have career status and 1 year with VBA as of the application period start date, July 18th. And for this program, we are seeking applicants who have had an outstanding performance evaluation for the last 2 fiscal years, so 2021 and 2022. And of course, no pending disciplinary actions. And then something unique to this program is that we look for applicants to sign a 2-year continuing service agreement for the 2 years following conclusion of this program. And as for all of our programs, selection and completion of this program does not guarantee advancement into any particular position within VBA. So just want to be transparent about that. Now we will talk about some specifics of the program. ADDP identifies high potential employees and prepares them for the assistant director or deputy director role. We do this through a focus on shifting from leading a single organization to leading multiple organizations. As a leader's responsibilities grow, so too must their perspective. And as such, ADDP strives to deliver an enterprise-wide executive perspective. The program is structured around OPM's Executive Core Qualifications, or ECQs. So not only do we prepare you for the assistant director role, but we also begin growing your capabilities toward SES should you choose to eventually go that route. Once again, highlighting our leadership development framework before we zoom into the 2 levels that ADDP focuses on, which is manager and senior leader. So of course, in addition to the ECQs, we focus on problem solving, decisiveness, financial management, accountability, political savvy, and strategic thinking. And how exactly we do this is shown on the methodology here on the slide. So we do have participants travel to the Atlanta Justice Center to receive a course in basic mediation. And the schedule for the fiscal or for the calendar year 2024 is not yet published, but we anticipate those dates will be available soon. And the participant is able to select which date works for them and their station, of course. This program also requires a 45 to 60-day executive level detail, so something at the GS 15 level. And mentoring is a major backbone of this program, and about 2 to 3 hours a month you'll spend with your mentor learning from them. And of course, a 360-degree assessment to get that full picture from your peers, from your subordinates, from your supervisors. And then lastly, a 6-month executive coaching opportunity. Similar to our other programs, we do have 3 residential sessions. The tentative dates are shown on the slide Location of these trainings are not yet confirmed, but again, tentative dates are shown, and flexibility, of course, is asked of you if we do need to shift those due to agency priorities. Again, the Atlanta Justice Center detail is one of the major requirements of this program. And then throughout the program, we will be meeting virtually on a bi-monthly basis to discuss various articles. We have some text that we also ask you to read, and that is serves as the content for our discussions during the virtual intersessions. The mentoring program, as I mentioned, and then the detail assignment, 45 to 60 days. So if you're considering if this program is a good fit for you, some things that you want to look for in yourself, take some time to reflect and see if this is the direction you are striving to achieve. But we're really looking for those with a passion for leading people and the organization, and those who have a drive for continual learning and either already have that growth mindset or really working to get there. And this program can help you grow that mindset. And we're looking for those who thrive on the challenges that come with increasing responsibilities on the job. And then lastly, those who want to build relationships with their peers, really grow their network, and learn from other like-minded VBA leaders. So if you have any questions or want to speak one-on-one, I'm happy to be available. Here's my contact information. Also, my program manager, Ceslee Horner, her information is here as well. And you can also visit our SharePoint site for additional details. So up next, we are going to talk specifically about the application process and timeline. So far we've been diving into program-specific requirements, but what I'm going to talk about now will actually apply to all 3 of the programs. So keep that in mind as we go through these next few slides. So for the fiscal year 23-24 programs, the applications, first line supervisor evaluations, and director recommendations will all be submitted through Microsoft Forms. So this is new for this year. And so if you've applied to past programs, this is a change. And within the online application, you as the applicant will respond to the essay questions. You'll upload your resume. You will upload your past 2 performance evaluations. And you'll also provide your contact information for your direct supervisor and your director. Once you submit the application, your supervisor will be notified via email to complete their actions. And the email that your supervisor receives will contain the contents of your submission so they can review what you've submitted. Following your first line supervisor's actions, the identified director will then be notified via email to complete their recommendation. And you as the applicant will receive automated messages informing you when the application package progresses through each stage. So let's take a look at how you'll be rated for this process and for the selection. First up is part 1. This is going to be related to your experience and makes up 30% of your overall score. In this stage, we're looking at your resume and your application submission to see how your employment history has progressed over time. We'll look at any special assignments or details you've participated, as well as the results of those positions and assignments or awards or other honors associated with your work. We'll take into consideration any specialized training or other development activities that you have participated in. And in general terms, look at the professional appearance of your resume. Part 2, again, 30% of your overall score is going to be your essay responses. For LEAD, there are 4 questions. For LEAP and ADDP, there are 3 questions. And there's a maximum of 5 points per question. Part 3 consists of the information received from your first line supervisor. They're asked to evaluate you on a specific set of competencies, and this will make up 20% of your score. So let me state what those competencies are for each program. LEAD is related to leadership, teamwork, interpersonal skills, and acceptance of change. LEAP is related to resilience, strategic thinking, accountability, decisiveness, technical credibility, and political savvy. And ADDP applicants are evaluated based upon problem solving, team building, accountability, decisiveness, partnering, influencing/negotiating, technical credibility, financial management, strategic thinking, and developing others. The final criteria for this stage is part 4, and that is the director's recommendation. So the director is asked to state how well they recommend you for the particular program you're applying for based upon your entire written package submission, as well as their personal knowledge of you and your work under them. So here is our timetable for this entire process. Again, August 4th, the application portal will close. So you want to ensure that your part is complete, your supervisor's part is complete, and the director's recommendation is also complete by that August 4th date. So if you haven't already, it's a good time to reach out to your supervisor to let them know you intend to apply if that's the case, so that you can plan for allowing them time to complete their activities. So once the application period closes, HCS will provide the data and information submitted through applications to the panels. The panels, we have district panels. So if you're a field applicant, your application package will be reviewed by a panel at the district that your office is associated with. And then we will also organize a central office panel for those who are currently in central office roles. Following that, the panels will review the information and provide HCS with their findings and their total scores. That will be August 16th. And at that stage is when we kind of make the cut score for those who will proceed to the interview phase and those who are not selected for an interview. If you are not selected for an interview, we will notify you on or around August 25th. And then at that same time, the interviews will take place with a separate interview panel. And those scores will be provided to HCS, who will then make a consolidated list of final selectees for review by the Chief of Staff or Deputy Chief of Staff office. Then following that, these names go all the way up to the USB level for approval. And on or around September 18th, if you did go participate in the interview phase, you will be notified of the final outcome.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Prevatt, and to the rest of my co-presenters today for discussing your specific programs. I see there's a very lively chat going on, so we're working hard to answer as many questions as we can. I do want to give you this opportunity right now, though, to raise your hand or visit our chat box to ask any questions that you have about our leadership development programs or the application process. And as we gather these questions, I do want to highlight that the application portal should allow you to provide all of the required documents. If you have any issues with the portal whatsoever, please notify the appropriate program manager and the L&D mailbox so that we can troubleshoot the issue. And I will drop that email address into our chat so that you have that as well. And let's see, Liz from Seattle, I see that you have your hand raised. So Jesse, I will leave it to you to unmute so that she can ask her question.
Good morning. It's good to see you, Ceslee.
Hi.
I think I missed it with all the chat going on. Is there an interview process for the LEAP selection?
Yes, there are
Okay.
interview processes for all 3 programs. And it'll follow the same timeline that Elizabeth just went over. But we, as mentioned in the chat, I think Mara mentioned it in the chat, that we will be providing this presentation, the slide deck, as well as the recording on our SharePoint site too, so you can review that all as well after the fact. Right, I see Miss Brenda Boyd from St. Louis, I believe.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Brenda Boyd, and I am from St. Louis. My question is about the travel, and it sounds as though it's mandated. So is that a bar for someone who has a disability who would need to do the virtual participation?
If there are specific RA requirements that would impact your ability to participate in this, I would definitely reach out to the program manager. Do not use that as a bar for applying, because I still want to see your name and application come through.
Okay.
We'll do what we can to meet the requirements of that accommodation.
Okay, thank you very much.
You are very welcome. All right, I think we have one more hand raised. Sorry, I just lost my screen. Miss Roberts, Felicia Roberts.
Hi, I have a question about employees. I have some employees who are GS-12s now, but they will be 13s in January. Do they have to meet the requirement to apply for LEAP as being a 13 by the application date? Or if they're going to be a 13 by the time the program starts, can they apply for LEAP? Or would you have them apply for LEAD?
The GS requirements are they must be in place during the application period. So if they're not going to be a 13 before August 4th, they should be going towards LEAD, not LEAP.
Okay, thank you.
You are very welcome. Okay, Amy Nesbitt.
Hi, so if we qualify for both LEAP and ADDP, could you provide kind of feedback as to, what would be a good deciding factor as to which one to apply, or would you recommend we solicit feedback from our director? Or do you have any thoughts on that?
It's a really great question, and I will open this up both to Ms. Conforto and Ms. Prevatt after I finish with my part. I definitely would recommend discussing this with your senior leadership in your office, wherever that may be. They will have a better idea of what part of the programs will best fit you where you are currently in your role, and also where you intend to be with your future endeavors within VBA. Keep in mind that ADDP is very, very high level. So it is definitely for those folks who see themselves as becoming a executive leader at some point in the relatively near future, not necessarily within the next, 2 or 3 years, but they do see that as their ultimate goal. If you've not participated in a leadership program through VBA previously, I always recommend definitely going with LEAP first, so that you can get that immersion and make sure that that's the pace that you are prepared for, as ADDP is going to be a lot more taxing and indicative of the time and support that you're going to need to provide to the program. Ms. Conforto or Ms. Prevatt, do you have anything you would like to add?
I would add, similar to what Ceslee said, just consider your personal growth and where you would like to go in the future. I think kind of doing some personal reflection would add a lot of value for yourself. But again, speaking with your own leadership and seeking out their perspective as well, I think would be invaluable.
All right, we will move on next. I think it's Jacques.
Yes, good afternoon. Yeah, thank you for allowing me to, have a few have two questions. I'm currently GS13 and I'm located in Washington, DC. I'm interested in the LEAP program, and so I telework every day of the week except for Wednesdays. So will this program require me to travel? If so, what locations? Because I'm pretty much virtual, but I'm in DC every Wednesday.
So yes, you will be required to travel for the 3 core weeks that we provided. So the Foundations Week, Assessment Week, and Executive Week. Please note that Executive Week is generally held in DC for all 3 programs, so that will be local travel for you in this particular situation. Another part of LEAP is a detail, and that detail, it just really depends on what detail you, your mentor, and your leadership decide to support. If that is a virtual position, then certainly you may be able to hold that detail down, but not all details are virtual, especially as we're starting to get back into the office. So that 30-day detail is in one chunk. It is not split up between weeks, and that would require you to travel as well.
Okay, but travel in the DC area, because I live in Maryland, but my office is in DC. So
yeah,
so for example, if my detail is in DC, then if that whole month for the detail, I have to be in that office for 30 days.
Correct. Depending on what the requirements are of that detail, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you so much.
You are very welcome. All right, Leah Young.
Hi, good afternoon, all. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. Just have a quick question. Once we start the application on the portal, will we have the opportunity to go back and resume from where we left off, or do we have to start that process over?
Oh, that is a good question. I'm not sure, Eric, if you have an answer for that. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I can speak to
Simone.
that. So
Sure.
what I'm going to recommend, and what we did note on some of the available documents on the SharePoint, is that Microsoft Forms does not allow you to save your space. So, and I'm saying this for LEAD, LEAP, and ADDP, please take the time to have your essay responses written and ready before you decide to submit your application. That way, your essays are ready to go, you can plug them into the form and you can submit, because unfortunately, it does not allow us to save your space.
Hey, thank you. All right. Latasha Duncombe, you are next.
Sorry. Yes, ma'am. Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. So for the LEAP program, what is the time requirement, weekly and or monthly? I'm not sure if that was mentioned or if I missed that part.
So that's really going to depend on the different activities that we have going on. So of course, like we said, 3 weeks out of the program, you will be traveling. So that's, those 40 hours times 3 right there for our Foundations Week, Assessment Week, and Executive Week. You're going to have 30 full days where you are completely detailed away from your work. You're going to have a 2-week shadow assignment. But monthly, when we have those intersessions, again, that's going to vary. It could be, an hour that we meet that month. It could be a couple hours that we meet that month. But outside of meeting time, you are going to have some assignments that you'll need to complete, right? We have our foundations text that you're going to need to read, and we'll assign out some folks to help lead the way when it comes to our discussions and our groups. So it is going to vary. LEAD pointed out they had a few hours, so a step up from that each week, I would imagine. You're going to want to spend time on your assignments for LEAD.
All right. Who do we have next? Lolita Tucker.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for all this information. So if we are accepted into the program, and when we're on travel and working with the program, is this will be considered as our work assignment, or will we have to take, use our own personal time to participate in the program?
When you are participating in the program, you are on official duty status. So if you are traveling for your weeks during assessment week, foundations week, executive week, you're not expected to take any annual leave for that, no.
Okay, thank you very much.
You are very welcome. All right, next, Mr. Hatcher, Demetrius Hatcher from Seattle. How can I help you, sir?
Good morning, everyone, and good morning, Ceslee. With the application process, if you're moving into a new position, would you need the information filled out from your previous supervisor or your new supervisor, or would that be an issue?
You want, if you're, and I know this particular situation, if you're moving into a position and you've only been there for perhaps a few weeks to maybe a month, I would definitely recommend that your previous supervisor is the person that you list as your person, as they know your work style and abilities probably a little bit more than your your current supervisor. Of course, that is completely up to you how you want to do that. Now, if you have been in your position for, say, a month to 30 years, please provide your current supervisor so that we are getting an accurate depiction of your abilities to participate in the program.
I understand. Thank you.
You are very welcome, sir. All right, Jacques, I see you again. What can we help you with?
Yeah, so as far as the activities that we'll be completing for this program, will they be like mostly in the team, or by yourself, for some activities that we're going to be working on?
Depending on the program that you were looking at. So
Leap.
there's a lot for LEAD.
Or Leap.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I'll address all three programs just so that we're all kind of on the same page. For LEAD, you do a lot of personal one-on-one type of training and events and everything, but you do participate in those weekly to monthly intersessions with the entire group. Also in LEAD, your executive program culmination capstone project that you provide to executive leadership during executive week is done in a group level. Now for LEAP and ADDP, those types of, it's the same. You're participating with the rest of your group in your intersessions and during your 3 travel weeks. But your capstone projects and executive presentations are all individual. They're not a group project.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Danielle Sorrell.
Hello. I wanted to participate in the LEAD program, but currently I'm still waiting for my CLP to be processed. So I was wondering how that works, because I'm currently a GS9, but I should be a GS10, but they're still processing the upgrade.
If you can show anything that shows that your effective date to become a GS10 falls within the requirement periods or the application period, so July 18th to August 4th, please reach out to the program manager, either Mr. Stoops or Ms. Shaughnessy, so that they are aware of that.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Right. I think we got most of the questions out of the way. But if you think of a question after we finish here or anything, please definitely add it to the chat that we have going or reach out to any of our program managers. We're going to capture any of the questions that we couldn't get to today into an FAQ document, and we will post them to our SharePoint along with a recording of this session. So I am going to close out and say thank you all for joining us today. We look forward to partnering with each of you and wish the best of luck to you all. Jesse?
All right, thank you so very much, Ms. Horner and team, for providing us with this very important information. This has been an outstanding event today. The slides and recording for the transcript for this event will all be posted on the Leadership Development Directorate SharePoint. And we invite you to complete this survey. I am putting the link in the chat right now. If you have a GFE or government furnished equipment cell phone, please go ahead and scan that QR code. Or again, use that link in the chat to complete the survey. In addition to today's feedback, we would welcome feedback on topics that you would like to see in the future. I would encourage you to please complete the survey for today's session. Again, it only takes 1 or 2 minutes to complete, but it will help ensure that we provide topics that are most relevant to you guys, our customers. At this time, this concludes our program for today. And as always, please have a wonderful and great VA day.